Hello, welcome to the FRQ of the day. So today we're doing number 3. Yesterday we did number 1 from 2016. We aren't doing number 2 because it's a chi-squared problem, which probably when we get back and do our online class, we'll probably do some chi-square because I do think it's an important issue, although it's not going to be on the AP Stats exam. But for right now, we'll just concentrate on the sort of thing that's going to be on the exam, which is going to be all free response problems. I think similar to this. We're still don't know exactly what's going to entail, except for it's going to be 45 minutes long. So anyway, so let's look at this problem and let's see if you can figure this one out. Alzheimer's disease results in a loss of cognitive ability beyond what is expected with typical aging. A local newspaper published an article with the following headline: Study finds strong association between smoking and Alzheimer's. The article reported that a study tracked the medical histories of 21,123 men and women for 23 years. The article stated that for those who smoked at least 2 packs of cigarettes a day, the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease was 2.57 times the risk for those who did not smoke. Part A, identify the explanatory and response variables in the study. Part B, is the study described in the article an observational study or an experiment? Explain. And Part C, exercise status, regular weekly exercise versus no regular weekly exercise, which mentioned in the article is a possible confounding variable. Explain how exercise status could be a confounding variable in the study. So if you want to pause this video and give that a shot, give it a shot. Okay, so this problem deals in essence with data collection and some definitions here. There's really no math here, and so there's just some very important things that you have to know. So you recognize here. So the explanatory variable here is whether or not someone smoked, and the response variable is Alzheimer's. And so this is sort of how you need to say this. Is the explanatory variable is whether or not people smoked at least 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and the response variable is whether or not someone develops Alzheimer's disease. It's important when you state a variable that you state how it varies. So in other words, you couldn't just say smoking. A lot of people say, well, the explanatory variable is smoking. No, you have to say smoking or not smoking, minimally. That would give you essentially correct. And Alzheimer's or not. You know, some people, would put like the explanatory variables was the number of cigarettes they smoked in a day. That was okay. In other words, they did it like it was a quantitative variable, which I don't think that's what it is intended. And then the response variable was like degree of Alzheimer's, and that was okay. But you couldn't just put smoking and Alzheimer's, okay? And that would have been considered partially correct. You had to state whether or not, stated as a variable. So in this case, it would be, a binary situation, sort of a success or failure situation. So that's that. And so the next thing is this an experiment or not? Is it an observational? An experiment means is that our subjects are having a treatment imposed upon them. They aren't just being observed. So this is distinctly was not an experiment because they were being observed. So the way you need to explain that is this. First of all, answer the question. This is an observational study. The participants were not randomly assigned to smoke or not smoke, so it's not an experiment. The people were merely observed and questioned, not treated. So you had to clearly state that they were not being treated, and you had to mention the context. You had to mention the context and make so in other words, you had to mention the smoking. If you didn't mention the smoking, it was considered partially correct. So a lot of people did that. They said it's an observational study because the treatments were not imposed upon them. So and that was considered partially correct. So you had to say, in essence, this is an observational study because the treatment of smoking or not smoking was not imposed upon them. So a lot of people did that. And then thirdly, this exercise status was mentioned in the article as a possible confounding variable. Explain how exercise status could be a confounding variable in the study. So this is what I said. All right. So maybe people that smoke are less concerned about their health, so that means they're less likely to exercise. Maybe it is the lack of exercise that is actually leading to the increase in Alzheimer's rates, not smoking. So even though the Alzheimer's rate goes up with more smoking, goes up with more, it is actually the lack of exercise that's causing this. The key thing is you have to connect the degrees of your 3 variables. Okay, your 3 variables here. And so your 3 variables, so we have smoking or not. So we have smoking or not is our variable, and then it appears here to be causing a Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's or not. So there's the other variable, do they exercise or not? Exercise or not. You had a lot of people would make this connection and they would make this connection. They would say maybe people that exercise more are less likely to get Alzheimer's, but they would leave out that. You have to state that, hey, maybe people, and you have to give her somewhat of a reason. Maybe people that smoke are less likely to care about their health, and so therefore they're less likely to exercise. And then you have to connect this variable, okay? And then you have to say maybe if they exercise more, they're less likely to get Alzheimer's, or the vice versa. Maybe if they don't exercise, they're more likely to get Alzheimer's. And therefore, though it appears the smoking is causing Alzheimer's, it is actually this other variable. And so you had to connect all three variables in some way, the degrees of all three variables. And by the way, you couldn't just say, hey, smoking and the exercise level are connected. You have to say how they're connected. You have to say, I think people that smoke more exercise less. So you had to give some sort of statement of degrees there. So and so there you go. So that's your free response question of the day, and we'll come back tomorrow and we'll do another one. I hope y'all have just a wonderful day today, and look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.